Hi, it's Kirby Sommers, and I welcome you to the Kirby Sommers True Crime Podcast. Well, do I have a true crime for you today? Today is November the 20th. It's Sunday, and many things have been done to all of my accounts. As you can see, even my photo on my YouTube channel has changed. I'll try to get my other photo back up there. And yesterday, mysteriously, my Twitter account disappeared. I discovered it around, I think it had to be around 11 o'clock in the morning, because even though I've been trying to take a hiatus, the hiatus really is let me catch up on all of this other work because I have my newsletters and I have the books and I have office work to do. So it was really just trying to get some time for myself. Um, So it wasn't like I was on vacation or doing anything. And in fact, it's Sunday morning, and here I am recording this video for you to give you an update. Um, I'm going to thank all of you who have been diligent followers of mine and of my work. And in fact, I've done some sleuthing and I've got some information to share with you. Uh, and before I get started, please like the video, subscribe, because if for some reason my Twitter account does not come back, well, then I'm going to be giving you updates to the best of my ability here on my YouTube channel. So subscribe, and this way you'll be alerted to when I upload a video, so on and so forth. I will see if I can select a certain day or a certain amount of days or something where you can expect a video here. I know that it's been a little bit blotchy because there's only so much one person can do. It's just me. I have two newsletters. I'm writing two different books. And of course, the research is endless. In any event, as I said, I discovered that my Twitter account, which many of you follow, was suddenly missing. And so I thought, okay, I've got so many people that I have been exposing through my work. And it is a serious crime that is being exposed. It is an international ring of not just pedophiles, as horrible as that is, but it's also a lot of other crimes that are committed together with that crime. That crime is the initial crime, if you will. That's how people are compromised, as you already know if you've been following me. And then once a person, a politician, or someone of standing and power is compromised, that person is under the thumb of either the person who holds the incriminating information or the country. And in this case, there are several countries. So, of course, that's going to upset powerful people because it goes all the way up, right? We have seen the names of presidents being involved. I have consistently told you that these crimes are not independent of each other. So that, let's say, the Jeffrey Epstein, Ghislaine Maxwell case, as it were, is connected to the Franklin trafficking allegations, is connected to the finders. They're connected to the Jimmy Savile case in the UK and in Australia. All of these cases are part of the same problem, part of the same system, and that's a system of intelligence. Well, I've gotten very good as far as doing some investigate. Like I kind of decided, well, I know that there are a lot of people that are opposition, that they're paid to attack my account, and I really don't stay on top of it because what for? Uh, whatever their reason, whether they're paid or they just have a personal beef, I'm just too busy to really notice. But I decided to just let me see what went on with my account because I didn't receive a notice. And Twitter states that they typically send a notice. Well, I didn't get one, but I made a discovery. And that discovery is that the persons, plural, responsible for the disappearance of my Twitter account are none other than, and I should have a drum roll, Prince Andrew and Meghan Markle. Apparently, these people or their people collectively, Prince Andrew and Meghan Markle, were not and are not happy that I exposed a certain thing that happened between them a very long time ago in 2001, connected with Epstein, Maxwell, and of course, later on, Andrew has to go to a wedding for his nephew, Prince Harry, to Meghan Markle. And the way I connected Markle, I have a whole podcast or two or three on that episode, but it has to do with the fact that I spotted her cozying up with Gloria Steinem, and I had been researching the attorneys that are involved with the victims of Jeffrey Epstein, not all of whom, by the way, are true victims, because I call a victim someone who has been actually physically raped, meaning there has been uh, something, as a woman who has been raped, there has to be someone who enters my body unwillingly. It's not just somebody tries to touch me. I call that something that's not rape. That's inappropriate behavior. I don't call that rape. In any event, so not all of the victims have been raped, although if you listen to David Boies, if you listen to John Stanley Pottinger, if you listen to Bradley Edwards, you would think that all of these victims are victims of rape, and nothing could be further from the truth. However, uh, in exposing and reading some information, I realized that, yes, Pottinger did date Gloria Steinem, who worked and continues to work covertly for the CIA, and that he, in fact, is also connected to the CIA. And Boys is also connected to, let's say, Harvey Weinstein and all of the trouble that Rose McGowan faced. It was David Boies who hired Black Cube against not just Rose McGowan, but against Rosanna Arquette, against Anthony Bourdain. Now, the other day I wrote a story for my Substack, which explains who killed Bourdain, and it implicated Nancy Pelosi as having knowledge of who killed Bourdain. And suddenly, we have the situation where 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago, there was an attack on Paul Pelosi, Nancy's husband. He's 82 years old. A man showed up asking, "Where is Nancy?" And Nancy Pelosi, as you know, just stepped down as the Speaker of the House after 20 years. She Once I posted that, and I was concerned about saying too much about that on Twitter, although I don't believe that was the reason that I have been suspended from Twitter. Here's the thing, is that all of these strings, for lack of a better term, are interconnected, so that Anthony Bourdain is connected, let's say, to David Boies by virtue of the fact that he believed at the time that he was murdered that the Clinton people were after him. Now, Ronan Farrow, when he was writing the wonderful article that he wrote for The New Yorker, which I suggest all of you read, The article was Harvey Weinstein's Army of Spies. He wrote it at this time in 2018, I believe, 2017. So it's been a while. And basically, that's what kicked off the Me Too movement. He had a suspicion that he was being followed. Anthony Bourdain had a suspicion that he was being followed. Now, the guy that would have arranged that would have been David Boies. So you find David Boies, fast forward, and actually not even fast forward at the same time. If you go back in time uh, to when Black Cube was chasing Ronan Farrow, Rose McGowan, all of the actresses that came out to speak about how Harvey Weinstein had violently raped them, assaulted them. We have David Boies, who also lied to the New York Times. He was working with the New York Times in a capacity, and he obstructed the work of two New York Times reporters, and he was basically removed. They fired him, although the news at the time was that David Boies stepped down, and the New York Times has tried not to make a big deal about it, although David Boies is theoretically no longer with the New York Times. Here's the thing. All of these people are all on the other side. And I know that many of the people who follow my work and my threads and my books and who are on my two newsletters are also on the other side. You know, they want to see what it is I know, what it is I've discovered, what it is I'm writing or I'm sharing with you. And obviously, some of them are not happy um, and have done their best, such as, let's say, leaving uh, reviews on my books, in particular the Ghislaine Maxwell book, with inaccurate information. So one of them read, "Oh, the book on Ghislaine is really about Kirby." Well, that's not true. The book on Ghislaine is about the first 30 years of her life. And it's just that it names people who, if you study what they do today, they're working with children. So I named people in that book who are not in the news. And these people immediately after I wrote that book, for example, pulled off all their social media. Well, if you do that, it's because you have something to hide. You know, that's kind of sort of what it says to me. There's a continuous line where all these people meet and merge together. So while Prince Andrew might be in the United Kingdom, he is still connected to, let's say, Bill Clinton, who is connected to David Boies. This is a group, and it's a much the more I research, and I have been working for the Epstein Project newsletter, and if you're not a member, I strongly recommend at this point that you try to become a member of one or both of my newsletters. One is the Epstein Project, which I've had, this is the 4th year of that newsletter. It goes out every other Tuesday. And you can find that on my website, kirbysommers.com. Or the other one, which I just started a little over a month ago on Substack. The response to my Substack newsletter has been amazing. Even I was surprised, although I know that a lot of people want to hear what I have to say. I was completely surprised at who has signed up. A lot of journalists from mainstream media are following my information. They're paying the fee. I decided to just let them be there. I haven't blocked anyone from the Substack newsletter. But if mainstream media is that concerned about what I have to say, well, then I must be doing something right. So to get back to the culprits for my disappearing Twitter page, Prince Andrew, Meghan Markle. I think that says a lot just by itself, that they should feel so threatened, that they have these, what they do is they have fake Twitter accounts, and we're all aware of fake Twitter accounts by now, who put in one bad request after another, and if Twitter gets too many of those, I suppose, they think, "Oh dear, well, maybe," but there's really nothing I've ever written on Twitter other than the truth, and I have always, uh, done my best on Twitter not to go too far, because I've seen other people get suspended for just saying what I wrote, for, let's say, for example, about Anthony Bourdain's not suicide, but murder. And that's the most recent article on my Substack. I do want to take some time here to go over information that just came out. So if you bear with me, I have to find that page. uh, okay, let's see. Well, I wonder if it's going to let me do this. Give me a second. Let's see if I can find it again. Okay. All right. So, oh, I see what happened. Got it. All right. So I believe it was Friday or Thursday that another 400 documents, like about 400 pages or more documents, were unsealed by the court on Thursday. So that would have been the 20, let's see, that would have been Thursday, the 17th of November. And the documents are from Virginia Giuffre's 2015 defamation lawsuit against Ghislaine Maxwell. Now, there have been 8 people who have requested that their names, and that they've done this now for, I would say, a good 2 years, not be included. However, the judge said, well, you know what, your names are out there anyway, and so we are going to just go ahead and release these documents. It's really, one of these is Emmy Taylor, who decided she was going to go ahead and sue Julie K. Brown for her book. Julie Brown has had to contend with a lot of lawsuits after her book was published. Some of these victims, and I'm not saying that Emmy Taylor is a victim. I'm just, Virginia Giuffre herself admitted to being coerced into bringing back girls for Jeffrey Epstein. And I believe in her case, it was something like 70 girls or so. In fact, one of those girls, Carolyn, testified at Ghislaine Maxwell's trial. I will be getting into more information on the Ghislaine Maxwell trial and what I anticipate happening going forward with the appeal. But I will say this, and I'll do that in a separate podcast, because that's a handful of information. I will say this, that the fact that they had on the stand uh, a woman who was not raped, namely Annie Farmer, she was not raped, uh, and then another woman who was, I'm going to use the word gifted to Donald Trump. And there's information that's going to come out that's going to allow Ghislaine, regrettably, to possibly be released from prison. But I will get into that and explain the hows and the whys and what happened and what they're going to use. All of this has been pre-planned, by the way. Virginia made an interesting statement when the news happened that the documents were going to be released. And although I had the statement in front of me, I don't have it right now, but so I'm going to just go with what I remember. She was contacted when the news broke that the 400 plus pages of documents Judge Preska was going to release to the public, and they did ask her about the Alan Dershowitz quotes. They called it a settlement. Well, along with the quotes dissolved, it was really dissolved. Virginia removed her lawsuit against Alan Dershowitz. Alan Dershowitz removed his counter lawsuit against Virginia. What initial reports did not tell you is that at the same time, Alan Dershowitz had sued David Boies. David Boies, for those of you who have not been reading all of my newsletters, also represented Leslie Wexner. And I don't think any mainstream media journalist has told you this, but I did. If you're a member of my Substack newsletter, you will see information where, in a different matter, he was his attorney for something. So their lawsuit against each other was also removed. This is very much in keeping with what all of you, and clearly everyone who has been following this case, is that certain things, they just want to suppress the information. So information, let's say, about Leslie Wexner is going to always be suppressed because you really have the hen in the hen house, if you know what I mean. The lawsuit against Dershowitz could not proceed. Otherwise, there was too much information that was going to come forward. Dershowitz was not stepping down, but in the final statement that Virginia said, she said something like, "Oh, I'm not letting Dershowitz off the hook," because she was basically saying, well, you now have basically, and again, I'm paraphrasing, I don't have her statement in front of me, that, oh, so you misremembered and so on and so forth, to which she replied, oh, no, I'm not saying that he is absolved. I think that's the word she used, or something that would be something similar to absolved, and which only goes to show how her attorney, David Boies, does not properly explain things to his clients. Because technically and legally, she has absolved him, right? In the eyes of the world, Dershowitz can say, oh, well, she misremembered. She signed something to that effect that absolves me from everything. Virginia is claiming that's not the case. Well, her attorney, David Boies, had a responsibility to explain to Virginia Giuffre exactly what she was signing when he urged her to drop this lawsuit. because Virginia, from my interactions with Virginia, she followed everything that David told her to do. And in fact, we can see that that's true for all of them, that they represented according to what they have said in interviews, and meaning boys, his firm, Pottinger and Edwards, they've represented approximately 60 of the victims who have come forward to claim that they have been victims of Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell. So 60 people. We have Sarah Ransom, who's filed a grievance complaint against David Boies for not disclosing to her that he is also the attorney for the Clintons. Sarah Ransom is one of these people who alleges that she saw shady stuff happening on the island with these people. So she feels very betrayed. She also went on to say that they coerced her into writing sort of like an opinion piece praising David Boies, that she didn't write it, that it was written really by Pottinger, but that she was told that unless you do this, and unless you give us I think it was other stuff that would be helpful for Virginia, and really this was for the case against Prince Andrew. So there's other stuff going on there that I will explain again in a different podcast. But these are internal, even like the bad guys will fight internally about certain things. And I have to tell you that in my series now for the Epstein Project podcast, I'm sorry, the Epstein Project newsletter, I am working on what's turned into a book, Epstein's Women, and it brings in, sometimes when you're in the middle of writing a book or a series, it will lead you to places you didn't expect. As I was writing this and going over my notes that I have been collecting now for a very long time, it led me back to Princess Diana. So suddenly, I'm not saying that Princess Diana did anything nefarious, but suddenly Princess Diana is connected to this group of people. And if you, right now, you can get the first 5 chapters of this on my website, kirbysommers.com, and then I'll send you the balance on completion. I'm still, frankly, undecided as to whether or not I'm going to have this uploaded to Amazon. I don't know. So right now, my website is the best bet. But and then that connects to Boies, and that connects to Pottinger, and that connects to Robert Maxwell. I mean, it's like all of these people, as I said, are one. Now, I hope that you have been able to follow me. I know that this is a lot of information. For me, it's only 5 o'clock in the morning. I've been getting up really early since I started working on the Epstein case, which was on the day he got arrested, July of 2019. And as I have explained to you, it's connected to my abuser, Rickless, who is interconnected with Pottinger, with David Boies, with Robert Maxwell, with Ariel Sharon in Israel, with the Franklin scandal, with the Promise Affair, with the BCCI scandal. It's just the whole thing, and all of these people are part of the same. I don't know what to call it. I can't. A melting pot is too tame of a phrase. However, I want to thank Matthew Steeples. I sent him an email earlier, and I was like, "Hey, my Twitter account disappeared. Would you be kind enough to let people know to tune into this podcast, and that I will explain how to find me?" So, thank you, Matthew. You've always been a very kind friend, and I appreciate your continuing kindness. Okay, how to follow my work. I will, if for some reason my Twitter account does not come back, continue to update you to the best of my ability here on my YouTube channel. So subscribe, like, and really through my newsletters. So it'll be my newsletters, Substack, Epstein Project, and YouTube. I also have my Patreon account that some of you are so kind to have been supporting me for so many years. Sean Atwood is one of my longtime supporters, and I appreciate that on Sean's part. Many other people, I appreciate the fact that Richard Poe, who is a journalist and used to work for the Village Voice and also for the New York Times, has been a strong advocate. I appreciate the fact that frankly, there's so many people who have been strong advocates uh, in addition to Bill Hamilton, the president and CEO of Inslaw, who created Promise and had Promise stolen from him, and some of the other people that he has connected me to and with. Um, in the intelligence community. So I have a really good, strong group of people who uh, help me connect these dots when I have a question. When I feel like, hey, does this fit with this? It's been, it's a lot of work, but every now and then there's someone who says, hey, you're on the right track because this happened and then this happened. So I want to just sort of not make this too long. Uh, Feel free to leave your comments and if you have any questions below. I am still trying to take some time off because a girl does get tired. But I have to tell you that this could be what I call a silver lining. There could be a silver lining in all of this. Who knows? There isn't anything, I think, that happens in one's life, although I went through a period of many, many years where all I saw was I didn't see a way out, but ultimately there was a way out. And so that when adversity happens and there's a road that becomes blocked, another door does open. So I find this possibly, who knows, it's going to be a silver lining. There's going to be something else that shows itself that will lead to better things. I think that's the way that I have always tried to look at my life, and I urge you to do the same. There's no reason to moan and groan about anything that's beyond your control. You only have control over what you do on a daily basis. And so you can choose to be upset, or you can choose to be accepting and keep moving forward. And that's the way I live my life. So with that, I will say thank you, thank you, thank you. I love you guys. You mean the world to me. Okay, talk soon. Bye.